If you're someone looking for new books to enhance and elevate your life, then listen up. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all a few books that have changed my life and can honestly change yours as well. We all know that knowledge is power, and I don't want any of my girlies to be left behind because we need to be on top of it this year. Like, we need to be on top of it. Hi, my name is Anissa. If you are new here, welcome back to my channel. If you are not subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that down below. We are so close to hitting our milestone of 1,000 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that below. And without further ado, let's get right into today's video. So the first book I'm going to be discussing is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's this book, The Power of Now. This book has honestly really helped me remain present in my life. I never realized how much I was just floating around until I read this book. This was like the first book that I read when it came to like my self-discovery journey, and honestly just opened my eyes to understanding the human psyche. This book talks about how to really tune out the outside noise and go within. It also talks about how we perceive our own thoughts, whether that's good thoughts or bad thoughts. It's pretty much just like not villainizing your thoughts and remembering that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So tuning our antennas to, okay, I am the watcher of my thoughts, I am not my thoughts itself, is really what this book is all about. It kind of goes over the same thing over and over again, but honestly it's very helpful for you to be able to really digest what they're discussing in this book. It also helped me realize that we as human beings kind of like idolize a future outside of ourselves. We really either stay in depression because we keep harping over the past, or we're hyper anxious because we're worried about the future. So this book kind of goes into detail of like the past and the future don't exist. All we have really is now, is the present moment. And I feel like a lot of us can get trapped into like thinking that happiness lies outside of us, whether it's in the future of, oh, when I'll get the job, when I have the money, when I have the partner, that's when I'll be happy. It's kind of like an idolized illusion what you think the future will bring you, because again, the future is an illusion, right? In order for us to really understand, in order for us to receive what we want, we have to feel those feelings now. We have to feel content now, we have to feel peace now, we have to feel security, we have to feel freedom, and that only lies within the present, because the present is all that really exists. Like, it discusses like time constructs and how like time, psychological time to be exact, is like our downfall as human beings. Like, we put so much pressure and so much emphasis on psychological time and just man-made time when time really isn't real, if that makes sense. It's a really good read. This book really helped me when it came to my anxiety, because I had really bad chronic anxiety, especially like in my teenager years, in my early 20s. This book really helped me remain focused into the present moment and to remember that like we are the watcher of our thoughts, we are the watchers of our experience. When we like meditate and tune inward and kind of see the world play out in front of us versus like seeing it from like the flesh, I would say. This is a book that I feel like I find myself constantly rereading like every single year, because I need that reminder for myself. Definitely recommend this book. I gave it like 5 stars on Goodreads, but definitely a good read. The next book that changed my life is Attached. Now Attached, honestly, I am so upset that I have not read this book sooner. Like, it would have saved me so much time and energy and heartbreak. Like, it would have just saved me all of that. But this book is very good. It talks about your attachment styles and how it plays a role in your relationships. It goes really deep into like understanding your attachment style, of how it formed when you were a child. So it starts from childhood, how you attach to your parents and how that kind of labels you as to be more of an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment, and how you kind of operate within your relationship with your parents. That kind of shows up again when it comes to like your relationships in the future with, you know, whether it's dating, romantic, platonic, it shows up in different areas. I used to have an anxious attachment style, and I knew that I had an anxious attachment style because I would see different things on like Twitter or just different social media that were like, here are signs that you have a anxious attachment style, and I would fit the boxes, but I never really knew in depth of what that really entailed until I read this book. So like, it made sense of like why I spent so much of my life being a chronic people pleaser, why I held on so tightly to like bad relationships, why I was so addicted to the highs of like a toxic relationship, and why I was always attracted to like emotionally unavailable people and people who have my attachment style. We find ourselves wanting to save the other person, wanting to fix them and play Jesus and like be all these different things for them, but it's out of the root of like feeling like we are not good enough, so we feel like we have to like chase people or feel like we have to like prove our worth to people. So we kind of tend to operate in a sense of like trying to prove our worth by saving people who aren't good for us, but because we didn't have the emotional safety, that emotional space when we were kids, we kind of developed the same type of like tactics when we're older. After reading this book, I became a secure attachment style real quick because I was like, I cannot be dealing with this anymore. But I'm obviously like, with me going to therapy, I kind of unravel those kind of behaviors, and my frontal lobe being fully developed, that really like took it over the edge for me of like, oh, okay. But what also I love about this book is that it teaches you how to go from one style to a secure attachment style, which is what you want to be in, because they have 3 different styles. They have the avoidant attachment, they have the anxious attachment, and then they have the secure attachment. So you want to be a secure attachment. A secure attachment is someone who is secure in themselves and they are comfortable with intimacy. They are comfortable leaving situations when it's obviously not good for them anymore. They have healthy coping mechanisms. They don't see people as possessions, or they don't use people to like lift their ego up. They generally believe in healthy connections. And yeah, so when you're an avoidant attachment style, you tend to avoid intimacy. You're kind of standoffish. You never really let anybody come in and really like be vulnerable with them because you have a fear of showing up and being yourself. And there's a whole thing about avoidant attachment styles, but pretty much in the book it was talking about how the anxious and the avoidant are like in a constant cycle within one another because both of them attract one another. Both of them are insecure and they feed off of each other's insecurities. So that's why you constantly see the same exact cycle in so many different relationships, because of that avoidant and anxious loop, right? So yeah, this book really showed me and taught me how to be secure. But yeah, definitely if you are dating or you just want to improve your relationships, whether it's like friendship or not, I definitely recommend reading this book. It's really, really good. It would literally change your life, like it changed mine. So the next book that changed my life is Atomic Habits. You guys probably already seen this before in so many different videos, but this book honestly really taught me how to be disciplined and how to show up for myself even when I don't feel like it. This book also really helped me deal with productivity hacks and how to really like trick myself into doing things that I normally wouldn't want to do, because I made the activate more attractive, if that makes sense. It shows you about like habit stacking, how you can like maybe habit stacking is pretty much like doing multiple tasks on top of each other so you actually get it done. So whether it's like listening to a podcast while cleaning your house, just doing different like healthy habits on top of each other, and you want to do the one that you enjoy doing at the same time as you do other ones, so that way you are more likely to do it because you have that one habit that you actually enjoy doing while you're doing the others less attractive things, if that makes sense. It also talks about like why people procrastinate and how to actually properly set up goals. So it's like it's all about really just becoming better 1% at a time, instead of just feeling like, okay, I want to achieve that goal. It's like we have to really break down those goals into small actionable steps and focus on completing the actions involved with that goal versus like the actual end all goal. What you do every single day will eventually lead you to that goal, but what matters is like the small little tiny steps you take every single day to get you to that point. So it's like not measuring success, but measuring it by what you do every single day. It also talks about like changing your identity to fit the person you want to become. So like once you have that identity switch in your head, you're more likely to complete that goal or whatever you want to complete if you make that switch in your brain of like you are this person. So for example, like I've always created YouTube videos for like years now. It's been like 7 years now I've created YouTube videos, but it wasn't until this year 2024 where I actually took YouTube serious. So for me, in order for me to change the mindset of like someone who dabbled in creating videos for like fun as a hobby, I had to change my mindset to, okay, I'm a YouTuber. Okay, so what does a YouTuber mean? That means I'm gonna show up consistently, I'm gonna post weekly videos, I'm gonna strategize, I'm gonna build community, I'm going to actually make this a thing and part of my identity. Once I said to myself like I am a YouTuber, I was like, okay, I can't just be like all dilly-dally and just like I only post when I feel like it, because YouTubers who are growing their platforms, they're not sitting around posting videos when they feel like it. They show up and they have a weekly schedule, they have a posting schedule, they come up with video ideas, they actually plan out their content. And so for me, I have to get myself in that mindset of doing that in order for me to tell myself in my head that I'm taking this seriously. This is what I'm going to do from this point on. So this book definitely helpful, and I would recommend to anyone who wants to learn how to be just more disciplined and overall just more productive. The next book that changed my life is The Four Agreements. This book, it's really good because it's like really easily digestible. Like, it's a really short read and it's very, very simple to where anyone can really understand it. It talks about 4 different agreements. So it's like just how to be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And it breaks it down within those 4 agreements of how you can implement what they're trying to overall convey in their message. Just overall, like the self-limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves that robs us of joy and living a fulfilling life, of like the mental struggle of caring about what people think about you, and like enlightenment and just freedom for ourselves personally, and how we can like show up in the world without taking everything like super seriously. But yeah, definitely recommend. The next book that changed my life is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. This book is honestly, it's more so of like a workbook, I would say, because you have to actually actively be doing activities and worksheets that are in this book. It's a 12-week program to really help you unlock your inner artist or to heal any like creative blocks that you may be having. It helps you find inspiration by doing daily journaling, which is called like morning pages in the book. It helps you really be intentional about stepping outside your environment and doing new things to really unlock your inner child, because a lot of the times like we get caught up in routines and feel like life feels so mundane, but it's because we're not taking the step of like finding daily inspiration outside of our everyday places. I also ask you different like questions about your ideology and how you grew up with certain beliefs about creativity, whether it's like beliefs about struggling artists or successful artists. It talks about also like how to really get out of creative blocks and to just pursue creativity from a place of like spiritual connection and out of a place of being connected to yourself and being connected to a higher power, whatever that is for you. Yeah, I definitely recommend this book. But even if you're someone who is not in a creative field, I definitely recommend this book because I feel like everyone's creative. Like, we all need creative outlets for ourselves. This book really is like the guide map to really help you understand like what your passions are and how you can dive back into pursuing creativity from a place of like love, and how to really have a more fulfilling life as well when it comes to living a more creative life. So definitely recommend. The next book that changed my life is The Energy Bus. My cousin actually gave me this book, and it's a really short read as well too. I think I finished it within like a week. Centered around a guy who works at a company, but he's like really depressed and he doesn't see the purpose of how he can impact the world. So he's kind of just like going through life just being really negative and not seeing how much power he has in himself. He doesn't see like how he's contributing to the world just by him showing up to his place, but it talks about really just like how the smallest of things that we do on a day-to-day basis can really change someone's like whole entire world around. And throughout the book, he gets a series of different experiences that happens to him while he is traveling to work on a bus. He meets different people who are trying to uplift him. They pretty much give him like a questionnaire or like a guide map to increasing positivity. So he learns something new from each task that he does that is given out from these people on the energy bus. Over time, they really try to uplift him and see how much beauty there is in the world that he has kind of been blind to, because his mindset hasn't been the most positive one. This shows you like we can think our jobs are so mundane, or like we don't really add that much value, or you know, we don't really see like we're making a difference. But it's like once you change that perspective of like, you know, one small thing, like if you're someone who's in hospitality, like just smiling at someone probably make their entire day and turn their entire day around. You don't know how much you impacted that person. They might not ever tell you, but like having the mindset of like, okay, I want to show up and be a light of this world and be the energy that it needs to really like just to like light up this world, you know? Like you just never know who you're saving just by showing up and being yourself and just being kind to someone. So this book really showed me how to be intentional just about like showing up as my best self and remaining positive and just being a light and an inspiration to this world, because you never know who you're going to be saving by doing that. Because it's all about just being positive, having positive energy, and just really uplifting the world, you know? But that is it for today's video. But yeah, if you guys want me to recommend any other books, or if you have any book recommendations yourself, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I just created a Goodreads about a month or so ago, so I would really love to connect with you guys to get book recommendations and to share what I'm currently reading throughout the year. But that is it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video next week. Bye!